Hello, space pilots. It's me, the new CM, Ron, aka Baracus. Welcome you to our brand new stream. First one of 2017. We had a bit of a misfire on the last one, but we picked ourselves up, and here we go again. First, I'd like to ask, are we good on mic levels? Everybody hear me this time? Is the music
I
going?
hope so.
Yeah, now this is important question.
Yep, it works.
Awesome,
Sweet,
awesome,
finally.
awesome,
Success.
yay.
Okay, so we'll start with a little introduction first. As I said, I'm Ron, aka Baracus. I'm the new CM around here. I'm very happy to join the team. Looking forward to some great things in 2017. With me, of course, you guys know, is Elton, one of our
Hey,
game
guys.
designers, and of course, the legendary Sergey is
Hey,
with us.
oh, legendary. Careful with that.
The legend.
We'll start out first. Actually, Sergey has a little message for all of you, so I'll turn things over to him.
Yeah, so, ladies and gentlemen, just to get the elephant out of the room, this is my last DarkOrbit Twitch, and this is basically like a beginning of my last week with the project. I'll be leaving DarkOrbit and I'll be leaving the company, but I am sure that you and the project is in very, very good hands. I think DarkOrbit is a great game. I had a lot of fun and a lot of interesting experiences working on it for 3.5 years. I would like to thank a single player that joined DarkOrbit and played DarkOrbit and criticized DarkOrbit. Meanwhile, you really helped us to do better, and you really helped us to find more and more ideas. And yeah, my heart goes out to you. Thanks a lot, guys, and I hope we'll meet again. And now let's do our normal Twitch stream.
Yeah, so after that sad news, we'll get going here. So basically, I have a little lineup for the show today. We're going to go over first the next event that's going to start here next week, Permafrost Fissure. Then we'll do a little QA for that event if you guys have any questions about that. We'll try to get into some basic roadmap discussions for 2017. There's some really great things on the way. Not sure how much we can give you, but we'll see what we can get out of Elton over here. And then after that, we'll go to just a straight, session like we always do, questions and answers. We'll be taking questions in the chat, and I have a couple from the forums as well. All right, so first thing, let's get started. So we have a new event coming up, as you guys have probably seen, Permafrost Fissure. This is going to start on the 23rd, so that's Monday. What can you tell us about this event?
Do you want to take the last one for the team?
Oh yeah, why not? So what's going to happen? We're talking about events in upcoming events, right? So
Well, we're talking about the next one that's going to start on Monday, just the...
yeah.
the
So
summer.
we are the Permafrost is a first of a series of events that we are planning for 2017, and it's going to feature a very interesting thing that is called unstable LF4. So
Yes.
that would be a first time experiment on trying to provide some kind of more tactical depth within the highest power level. So the unstable LF4s will be a laser gun that would be unstable, so it will sometimes fire better than an ordinary LF4 and sometimes worse. So it's just something that you'll have to take a risk. It will be available via assembly, and we just want to see how it will work and how it would affect general layouts of combat and so on. But that's something that is just a preliminary thing, because later in the year there will be more and more content added, so effectively adding more tactical depth and more kind of more decisions to the time when you basically decide what to equip to your ship, what lasers do you choose, what shields do you choose, and so on. So it's all going in the same direction that we started last year, where we decided to make combat more tactically provide more tactical variations in the combat. And of course, the assembly will be a pivoting point for event in January.
Yep. And also, just to add, there's one question: will the UFE players need to upgrade? The unstable LF4 is better than the LF3. However, it is not better than fully upgraded level 16 LF4, the sole reason being an LF4 will do constant DPS, whereas the unstable will do variable DPS depending on a percentage that we have in our balancing, which would be lower to higher, and you would not, in the long run, if you take a minute of DPSing, the LF4 upgraded is way better than the unstable. But our intention behind this is to get our new players faster onboarded and faster into the whole progression of DarkOrbit. Let's face it, guys, it's like 10 years old, and if a new player has to get anywhere close to a UFE, he'll have to dream about it for the rest of like another 10 years or something like that, right? So we're trying to fix that gap. We're trying to bridge that and bring players together so more players are actually on the map and the more players are actually engaged in combat, bringing back life to DarkOrbit. And that is the intention of this event. We will obviously turn it on eventually every now and then so players can actually equip themselves. It'll be on from the 23rd of this month all the way through February till the end.
Okay, so yeah, you guys have plenty of time to get this new unstable LF4 laser, which yeah, seems to be a pretty exciting new weapon. And yeah, it's helping with a concern that I've seen since I've started here, and that's basically a lot of people are concerned that newer players on the map are just have no chance to advance, and you know they're getting people that leave quite early because yes, it's not fun to just come and just get murdered on the map. So this is the first in many steps that they'll be taking. The design team's going to be taking to kind of fix that issue. So maybe we can also go over how exactly are people. So the biggest thing in this is the Permafrost Fissure Galaxy Gate, actually.
Right.
How are people going to open this gate up?
There are a bunch of quests and also drop items that are required for you to actually get the unstable LF4 that you need to collect, right? The gate is going to open up, if I'm not wrong.
Special consumable.
Yeah. On a special, is it a craftable?
Yeah. So the idea is that most, like, or not most, like the majority of Galaxy gates that we currently have in game are built via the materializer, right? So we wanted to try out something else, like for event-based gate, we decided to go for a special consumable that allows you to open this gate. So you basically just go into the assembly, craft this consumable, and then you open this gate. So we want to see how that would work, what difference would it make in terms of like how much effort do players spend and so on. But also keep in mind that this is like an event-based gate, so it will not be available after event has ended.
Yep.
I mean, tune in, collect stuff, build gates. But also that is like just kind of like us testing that new way of acquiring things, a new way of like opening gates and so on. We want to introduce in general like more choices, like whether you go to assembly or to materialize, or what do you do in general to acquire the stuff that you need.
Yeah, additionally, like we discussed, I think Sergey and myself were discussing the vision for 2017, and in that one topic was the Galaxy Gate materializer. And if this system of getting the items and then building a gate, either via quests, either via acquiring them from NPCs and crafting them via an assembly, and then opening that gate as a key or a token of sorts, right? If that system's actually good for our players and they kind of like it better than just clicking there and waiting for a couple of seconds actually in a couple of servers, it would benefit us greatly. So we don't need to have two separate windows. You're in the game, you're doing everything in the game, right? The other purpose of actually introducing this Galaxy Gate is, like I said, to get the unstable LF4, there is a collection mechanic that you would have to collect stuff and pay in to get the LF4. So it's not like, hey, if you want the unstable LF4, you have to pay Iridium. And this is the answer to one of the questions that went up earlier, where are you trying to remove the pay-to-win features? So this is a step in that direction where players will be engaging in-game to get it. Of course, we can't completely remove pay features, so there will be benefits to the payers, like, for example, not a direct buy. It will increase drop chance of getting the items that you need to pay in. So that's how we plan to proceed. So the item itself is not directly purchasable, but the payers will have slightly more benefit than the non-payers in acquiring items to get the unstable LF4.
Yeah, it sounds really good. It sounds like we're moving in a great direction there. So I guess we're transitioning right over to the next topic here, and we'll just keep going.
Yeah.
Because I think that's enough information right now for the event. The FAQs will be available on your forums on Sunday. And like I said, the event's going to start on Monday. We don't have an exact time yet, but that will also be coming out, that information, as soon as it's available. So yeah, we'll transition straight into our next topic real quick. And basically, this is just where I want to ask the two guys, because I know Sergey still had a lot to say and the roadmap for 2017. And of course, Elton's going to be taking over. So I'd like to get maybe you guys' thoughts on where do you see the game going? What are the important issues you would like to tackle in the next year?
Building on the topic I just mentioned in the last sentence of my previous thing, what we want to do is make the game more fair, make the game more accessible to every sort of audiences. Because currently, yes, there is an impression that it is a pay-to-win game, and I will not disagree. It's slightly on that path. As a 10-year-old game, of course, those were the systems that existed back in the day. And changing that system is really, really hard, and it doesn't happen overnight. And I know for a fact that Sergey has been working really hard to actually bring in more elements that go away from that. Double Galaxy Gates was introduced as part of those things and things like that, right? It's one step at a time. I know people, as soon as we change something from A to B and say, yes, it's done, we'll have a lot of backlash. But when you slowly build on that and slowly go ahead, people will start to accept these systems and see the bigger picture, right? So one step for that was the unstable LF4. The second is what we're launching soon in February with the LF4 upgrades, right? The core of the reason why we went with LF4 upgrades and not LF4 or LF5, LF4.5 or LF5, right? That was one of the questions there, is to allow the players who have invested time to get the LF4, not to completely devalue that time and say, okay guys, you've invested time, everything's gone down the drain, here's a new weapon. So what we want to do is give players who have this particular weapon a chance to use that weapon and then improve on it and get a better weapon out of it, right? And that's how it will progress in the future. So what we're building now is a system that is upgradable as we go forward. So right now we might start with attack damage and PvP damage, which will eventually translate to attack damage, PvP damage, attack speed, or attack damage, PvP damage, crit damage, and things like that, right? So that's the direction we're going into, where we'll have one weapon that is upgradable over and over and over again, so you wouldn't need another weapon ever. You just take this weapon that you get now from the craft, add something else on top of it, and you get the third weapon. So on and so forth, maybe 10 times or 20 times or whatever that is in the future. So that's the first system. Second, what we're planning is new ships, with the Mimesis coming out, and 2 other ships that I've teased on Discord as well. We have images there for, we don't have the detailed names as of now, we're still coming up with it. There's 2 more, one that goes on taking the shape of a Venom, and the other one is an alteration of the Goliath. Both of these ships will be coming out in Q1 with not skill changes, but mainly tweaks to stats and damage, HP and things like that, right? Because we want to put it out there faster so players can get it. Also, these ships will not be on sale, will not be in obsidian boxes, they can only be crafted.
Well,
so
that's interesting.
That's something that you'll see, guys, that we don't want to go into the pay-to-win direction. We want to bring more activity in the game, so these ships cannot be purchased no matter what you do, right? Mm-hmm. And we will not put them on sale. What we'll do is we'll add items into NPCs that you need to kill and get items to craft them. Of course, we can possibly add the items to make it more accessible to the people who want to pay, to make it a little faster. So probably we say one of the items required to craft this ship drops from the obsidian box, or drops from the normal green booty boxes, red booty boxes, and mask. So people's investment for buying these keys and the amount of keys they have are not completely wasted. They can still use them. But the core of this idea is to get these items only via farming.
Yeah, it sounds really good. And I just want to kind of repeat, he did say Nemesis.
Yep.
I think I've heard that somewhere in the chat, maybe on Discord a couple of times, 2 or 3 times, I would say.
It's also one question
coming
in here. What about the Nemesis? When will it come?
It is coming.
It is coming, guys. Don't worry. It takes some time. Like I said, game development. It
Yeah,
doesn't
well,
happen overnight.
And I want to touch another issue that, like in general, like of a game direction, that the thing that we have been discussing a lot on Discord on the like last year, and the thing that has started to kind of like develop over this year is that we are trying to make the game, like the core game, like the combat of the game, more dynamic and more like interesting and more deep and with more tactical choices and so on. So we try to make the abilities of different ships to be more prominent part of the game. Like we decided, oh, why don't we just say allow players to use the abilities of their ships like more often and so on. Of course, that leads to a certain number of like I don't know, hiccups, like oh, there are people who think that we should do something to Spectrum because it's like very powerful when it comes to fleeing from someone, where some people think that Tartarus needs to be rebalanced because it's too fast and so on. We hear all these concerns, and in general, we basically just look at this in at a greater scale as a system. We want to look at the top popular ships, and as we add more ships, we will be reshaking a bit all the like abilities and so on, specifically for the pain points for the ships that are somehow overpowered or annoying or something like that, to make sure that they're still interesting to use, but not like they're not creating a situation where somebody feels hopeless or powerless in a battle against these ships. So, but what I wanted to say is that you should expect a lot more dynamic a lot more dynamic changes in the upcoming year, when we will introduce new ships, we will introduce new weapons. All that stuff will basically kind of like affect our meta, so the global balance of things. And that means that a lot of stuff will have to be like tuned, changed at some point, or kind of like nerfed or buffed and so on. So we are going into the direction of like, you know, like a normal balancing where we change things and then we change things again and see how it works and so on. And I understand that many people are like, oh, you are like doing this, you should have tested it and so on. But you have to understand that in real dynamics, where the actual players play with a specific feature or specific weapon or specific ship for quite a while on many different instances in different environments, that's when we can gather a lot of statistics and can understand, hey, this is working not as we have intended, or is this too good, or this is too bad, and so on. So just I want to make sure that you understand that you should expect a lot more dynamism in the way we address like the stat issues, the cooldowns, the ability mechanics, and so on. And as we add more, it will be even more dynamic, and there will be more kind of like shaking and movement. So you just have to follow I don't know, the stream and just let us know what you think of each iteration of the change, because ideal balance in a sense is something that we should all strive for, and we should all understand that maybe the ideal balance when everybody is satisfied is something that is very hard to get to, right?
I don't think that exists.
There will be people always saying, hey, my ship is underpowered and all the other ships are overpowered. So
yeah, and just to address another couple of questions, guys, why new LF4 seems to be the topic of the day, and people would have to spend more on 13 million Iridium, etc. First and foremost, guys, this is a 10-year-old game, like I mentioned earlier, and I keep mentioning. In a 10-year-old game, there are systems that are ancient. I wouldn't say old. They're literally ancient. To build upon that, we'll still, and go with the existing code, we'll still be going with that ancient system and try to tweak it and break a lot of things going forward, right? As the years go up, code needs to be updated, new systems need to be introduced in order to keep the game alive. So number one, on that front, that's why we're introducing the new LF4s as an upgrade. Like I mentioned, it is a new system altogether that will let us upgrade this in the future, provide the players with new goals to play the game. Because currently, people who are full elite have all LF4s upgraded to level 16. Other than PvP, have literally nothing to do. or maybe honor searching, going into Galaxy Gates, getting more honor day by day, and boosting their ranks on the leaderboards. That's about all I see the players are doing right now. They are completely bored of playing on the maps. There's nobody on the maps except when they go collect honors or cubicons or maybe find iridium for another ship, right? We want to give players that goal to go into maps, engage in combat, engage in PvP as it used to be in the older days. And people have shown me videos, people have sent me videos of crazy fights happening on DarkOrbit, and we want to see that coming back. And a way to bring that back is to introduce interesting content that players will go and farm for. Without having that, say for example, the LF4 is just in Galaxy Gates or in Booty Box. You will have to go there, maps are empty. But say for example, when you craft a new LF4, which requires you to go onto maps to get items, go onto Galaxy Gates to get items, go onto certain NPCs to get items, you'll see more activity because people want to get it. It is not a paid item. It will never come to shop. So is the surgeon, guys. There's another question about the surgeon coming to shop. That is not happening. So like I said earlier on, we're moving away from pay to win, going into more easier and better things for our players that they can attain stuff by actually playing the game.
Yeah, and just to address one thing, like we are what we say when we say upgrades, we really mean enhancements. So you basically use your current LF4 with a bunch of materials, and some people have an assumption that after that you will have to go all the 16 levels and upgrade it, but it's actually not true, right? So
No, it's not true.
We are allowing you to keep your upgrade levels on the new LF4 as well. So that's why we are saying that whenever we introduce this stuff, we want to make sure that people who have already invested a lot of time and effort, they will have a big upper hand in getting that new stuff.
Exactly.
And they will have a certain advantage. And in this case, the advantage will be that the investment that they already made kind of like remains intact.
Also, if at all, for some technical reasons, something happens, we are not able to keep those upgrade levels, we will introduce upgrade vouchers that players can gain in-game, and you don't have to spend 13 million Iridium to actually get that up, right? So don't worry, guys. We're working on that. We're talking to the mods on it, and we're getting feedback from them before we introduce it, and we won't let you down. I hope that holds true for all the features planned for 2017. And I believe Ron is actually working specifically with the mods in order to set this process up. And I'm pretty sure he'll be super successful. And
hope so.
Lyra wants your poster.
Yeah.
Somebody wants your poster.
So-
Somebody wants my
Already.
poster.
Yeah.
So,
A poster of me or?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
You got it. Yeah, as Elton said, one of my first big projects here is to change the way that we receive feedback, not only from our mods, but from, you guys, the community. In the end, it's been, a bit more passive, and we've gotten the feedback, after we've already designed a whole feature. And we've decided that's, a bit too late in the game. We have to get your words, your thoughts on new features before we actually start going through all the trouble of designing them and developing them and programming them. So that's something that's going to be coming into play really quick. Actually, it's going to start next week, so mods get ready for a pretty lengthy email about this new process. But yeah, I think it's going to be a great way for us to get, your thoughts on stuff before we really start to put the energy into develop it, to make sure we're not going in the wrong direction and wasting time.
Additionally, on that topic, yes, Lyra, there are new shields coming in. So we start with weapons, we move to ships, we move to rocket launcher and shields, and eventually a tech tree within the ship. All of this is wishful thinking, I know, but eventually it will happen over the course of 2017.
Yeah, so and then on to back that up, so basically there were people asking like, hey, how about doing some real stuff like introducing new maps, new NPCs and things like that. Yeah, so that is also on the agenda, and that is also something that we have been planning for this year. The idea behind is that we want to make sure that when we start bringing in new items and new tactics and whatnot, all that has to be somehow used and utilized, and not only in PvP. Ideally, that has to be also like some PvE objectives, like some PvE maps and so on. So we are planning to enhance and expand the universe in future, and we want to make sure that the players who are like ultra full elite or even higher, when the new weapons come in and their new additions kick in, they will have new regions to explore, and they will have new enemies to take on, and like new stuff to find, and new discoveries and so on. So we are planning to do that, and again, as Elton said, a lot of this stuff is heavily dependent on like how cool will all our like initial things work, and how easy it will be for us to like to build on the tools for design in order to introduce that content and so on. So that's something that we need to make sure. But if that works out, then a lot of the stuff that you're asking about is all aligning into the like one big question: how are you planning to expand the game? And yes, we are planning to expand the game in various directions, specifically aimed at first bridging the gap between like mid game and high game. Like that's why the unstable LF4s come in, that's why we're doing all these double days and so on, so to make sure that players can gear up faster. And the second part, we're trying to bring in content and activities aimed specifically at powerful players who will find new goals and new things to do and new regions to discover and new enemies to fight. That's basically like the overall idea of the year for us.
And to pick two specific questions from the things that just popped up. Number one, Galaxy Gates happening over the weekend. Are you going to turn that off? Actually, no, guys. We're actually starting to turn it on, and February is also going to see it every weekend. The sole reason being, let me explain the agenda behind why we introduce it every weekend. I know it's pissing off. We'll be addressing leaderboard issues as well. So number one, why Galaxy Gates were introduced every weekend. As I said, there's LF4s coming in February that will have to be upgraded with resources that you get in-game. You cannot pay for the LF4. So to get resources, you have daily quests that you complete in the normal daily quest missions. You'll have weekly Galaxy Gate quests, right? If you don't want it every week and 3 days every month, keep in mind that you will only be able to do these weekly quests 3 days a month. That's about it. Every other time, it's going to be normal rewards. You'll have normal spin rates, and you can do it. So if you want that, I have no issue turning it off, right? Number three, the DarkOrbit potential damages increase over time. Yes, we know, guys. That's what Sergey and I were just talking about. We do not have systems that let us add things into the game as and how we please. It takes time, it takes dev time, it takes design time, we need to balance it and things like that. That's the reason we're starting with the introduction of these systems, ships, lasers, shields, rocket launchers, and then we'll have one full system that lets us go ahead and upgrade it as and when we see fit, right? The new ships coming out, yes, they'll have higher HP, yes, they'll have better damage, including the new LF4s that are going out, which will then let us introduce new maps which have better NPCs that do higher damage and have higher defense and require the player to do higher damage. So all of this has been thought about. It is a roadmap we have created for the whole year. So please be patient with us, and you'll see all of this coming into the game.
Let me just break in here. I can hear you guys through the internet. So I know you guys aren't like the correct people to ask about this, but I'm sure you guys can tell our players something. Bringing in new content, new maps, and new aliens is all great. But what do we plan to do? How do we plan to attack the issue with some existing bugs in the game?
Yes, that is something also that we are focusing on, and I know we'll be having weekly bug triages starting. We'll have another crazy day of bug triage where I'm pretty sure the project manager has confirmed we will have pizzas in, and we'll be sitting and doing nothing but going through bugs. And that is for real, folks. I can even get it to you guys in writing. That's the whole day is actually just gonna be fixing bugs. We are identifying bugs that need to be fixed.
Maybe on Facebook Live some of that.
Yeah. So just to so that you understand. So we have now very kind of like, as you see, our team has kind of like expanded and have a lot of new blood in. that has an upside and then a downside. So the upside is that all the people, as you can see here, are super passionate about Dark
I
Orbit.
don't like the downside.
I really like Dark
start with
Orbit
the
and want to.
downside?
Yeah, but the downside is that we were not being able to kind of like to be as thorough as we used to be with the way that we try to catch the things, because like you can imagine, like our game is in a sense like a patchwork of stuff, and sometimes you cannot even expect what would break when you introduce some new features. So now we have kind of like stabilized our production process, and now there will be a moment, as Elton said, when we will sit and look through all the bugs like again, identify what needs to be fixed ASAP, what can be fixed like soon, and like in which order will we delay, will kind of like will we work on that, what can we delay, what should we fix like right away, and that will be immediately taken by our tech department and basically acted upon. Because we know, we hear you, we know that there is a lot of stuff that kind of like got slipped through the cracks in the recent month, but now is the time that we really have the opportunity and the capacity to attack that. So we expect like a huge patch notes in the upcoming releases.
Yeah. How actively do we play Dark Orbit? I actually actively play Dark Orbit.
I know you've seen him in there. I know you guys have seen him.
They won't see me in there because my name's different. I can tell you the server I'm on, and maybe the guy who finds me gets a new reward. So I'm on the GB1 server, and I have exactly 6 LF4s, 4 Havocs, Apis and Zeus drones, and all 12 drones, and I'm still working my way towards getting all the LF4s I need. My pet doesn't have any LF4s though, shit.
Do you guys hear this? You find his ship, send it in to me. Yeah, we'll work something out. You're definitely going to get a prize for that one.
Yeah, come on guys, you can do it.
Yeah, I play on Russia 6, but you will never find me.
So we both play the game not using Psychondric and Chris Kelvin.
We're using the different names, and we're not using any kind of like capacity that we have as developers. We are playing as a simple like ordinary players. I think I have like 2 LF4, so I'm really miserable.
I can tell you a trick.
No, I know the trick. I'm not using the tricks.
Yeah, and I'm actually playing the game as well, but I play under a different name. Maybe you'd be able to link the two, my Baracus and my game name. I don't know. It's kind of a loose, it's a very big stretch, the two. But if you find me, also, I'm willing to give you a little prize.
Sweet, so you have 3 different motives to find us now.
Okay.
Let's see.
What do we got here that's interesting?
There's very few questions, actually. Maybe you want to scroll up. Special titles from killing other players. Okay, leaderboard, guys.
I was just going to ask, there's a question on here about leaderboards as well.
So lots of leaderboards questions up there. It is a very touchy topic, not just for us, but also for our players who've been playing for 10 years, or maybe 8 years, maybe 6, I don't know what that is. The current leaderboard system calculates experience, honor, and a lot of other things in total for your ranking, right? Which is, in a way, unfair to new players, and if you remove it, unfair to the players who have played for so long. So both ways of the scale are kind of tipped in favor of each other automatically, cancelling each other out. So what we're going to be doing for the movement is not touching that leaderboard, but introducing new ones that work on a much better system and have better rewards and things like that. Move the players onto these new leaderboards, make them engaged in the new leaderboards, and eventually, as and when the interest on the old ones starts to die out and we see that happening, we will try to phase it out. But until that time, we will keep the old ones, but make the new ones more lucrative to actually be on. That is our intention and plan, but again, we need to think about it in more detail. What exactly the elements are going to be on the new leaderboard? How are we going to make it equal? How are we going to make it fair for every player?
Well, I guess I can just kind of go through a question here that's kind of a follow-up for that. It's from one of our forum users, Junu the God. So what are your plans then? Like, are we going to have any like PvP rankings or monthly PvP contests? Are we maybe going to see any of that in the future?
Yes. So on that topic, number one, the cross server was introduced keeping all of this in mind. However, the cross server is not complete. As we mentioned in our last Twitch stream, it is currently an experiment, right? Once we have it performing as intended, once it has a very good, stable system, we will introduce better matchmaking, more battles, and more rankings, possibly even seasonal, maybe monthly, we don't know yet, that will reward players with specific gear or skins that they can show off. And you can never get it anywhere else except the leaderboards. So I think I mentioned that in the last Twitch stream as well. Thank you, Jorg, for pointing out another question. Bonus boxes will be removed. This is something I mentioned on Discord. Guys, bonus boxes are not going to be removed anytime soon. But on that topic, there are discussions around bonus boxes being removed or being nerfed. So there are two ways we can go. The reason is the core of the issue is botting, right? Auto clickers going around clicking boxes in cloak that people cannot see. Now think of the scenario as, what if the bonus boxes dropped from NPCs? So it is going to be that exact same bonus box that is going to be dropping from an NPC. You'll have to actually go kill that NPC on a PvP map. If you're a bot, hey, go kill him. More activity on the map. So yes, that is one of the ideas. The other one is to make it so that you can collect a certain number of boxes per day, maybe 24 hours, maybe a week. We don't know yet, right? But let's say, for example, take 24 hours. You could collect maybe 1,000 boxes, and then you will not get any rewards. That sort of limits our players from playing the game. And that's the reason we are trying and weighing which way to go. So we are thinking about something, but not currently. It'll be maybe a couple of months, maybe Q2, maybe Q3.
Yeah, the other thing that we have to keep in mind as well that is that the bonus boxes are actually like a nice occupation for the low-level players. So like many low-level players basically like click these boxes and they get meaningful things out of the bonus boxes. So we have to maintain the balance between saying, hey, we cut this stuff because bots collected. We need to make sure that we have other like angles of attack on the bots, not just like cutting everything they do and just saying like, okay, they have no reason to collect boxes anymore, because like, but we don't have to punish ordinary players who want or collect boxes for something. We need to make sure that they remain as a kind of like a source of activity, but we also need to make sure that we control it better. Because at this moment, like I don't think there is any way around it. The bonus boxes is something that is allowing players to make to get income without actually doing anything or making any meaningful decisions or making any effort. It's not super rewarding as well, but then again, like it's super simple. Where we want to get to is a situation where when you're playing, you're getting enough as a reward. You don't have to go to a mindless kind of like mind-numbing activity of just clicking. So it has to be interesting and engaging and has to be rewarding. But it also, like, we have to keep in mind that there are people who need something like an income source and so on. We have to make sure that we can like deliver that where it's needed, not just like throw it around the maps and say, hey, do whatever you want, we don't care. Right. So
And on that note, currently players don't engage. Also, what we notice, players don't engage in combat because right now early level combat is absolutely meaningless. There is nothing that they can get that is attractive to them, right? And we want to bring that back as well, along with the bonus boxes going into NPCs. So all of it together forms one bigger picture and it makes sense. So unfortunately, when you take these topics out of that context and look at them as one topic, they kind of seem odd at that point, and you're like, holy shit, why are they even doing this, right? When you look at the bigger picture, when you understand the holistic view of what we're planning, it actually fits right in there.
Okay.
So servers on the front of fixing bugs and stuff. GE1, I'm pretty sure Barker's communicated it to you
Yep,
guys.
yep.
One of the things we fixed is performance of GE1. We noticed that players have been complaining to us since a long time since, what are you doing about the 8-month lag that's going in? So what we did is we took a look at it, we looked into what was causing the issue, and we noticed that our population was pretty high on GE1 and not enough server capacity. So what we did is we introduced one extra server so that this population can be maintained and it doesn't go into like a crazy lag spike. And you should see that. I think it's already in, and you should see that this week.
Yeah, it's already started. The new server's already started, and from what I understand, it's performing very well. Yeah, so this is hopefully something we can keep on doing. It's an ongoing process. We're not going to stop. We're just going to keep trying to improve everything, especially when it comes to lag and everything. We understand how important that is to you guys.
Yeah, really briefly. So that's the question from someone is, will you give us possibility to sell useless drone design? So I just want to explain because original idea when we introduced a restriction on selling of certain items was before we started to introduce a lot of like exclusive cosmetic stuff. We restricted selling specific items because, well, players were selling them accidentally, like LF Force, for instance. They were selling the LF Force for like, I don't know, several dozen thousands credits. So it was like a ridiculously low price for a super valuable item, and it wasn't like very hard to return it because there is no buy back function. So we restricted sales of the unique items. But then we started to introduce more and more like unique but not so like not affecting performance items like drones, and now they're coming from bonus boxes and so on and so on. So this is something that we might look at in the future and allow kind of like clearing up your inventory by selling the cosmetic designs you don't need. You will not get much, of course, but it will be just a way of like kind of like streamlining or clearing up your inventory. The other idea that we have regarding the amount of like, you know, like second grade items like LF3s is disassembly. So that's something that might come in like later in the year, like somewhere mid-year we were thinking, and we were mentioning it on Twitches earlier, is that the items that are not the top level grade still can be used to, you can break them for parts and get some meaningful craftable materials to which then would allow you to, I don't know, to craft something that you need. Maybe that will be the approach that we'll take with like cosmetic designs as well, so that you will be able to, like, if you get them from, let's say, Mask booty box, or I don't know, you win them in a UBA season and you don't need them, you can break them up for parts and use it for something else. That's the idea.
I think most of our users, from what I know, gather all these parts by paying money for keys and things like that, right? So just making them sell stuff is not really cool. Though it's simple and easy for us, we want to invest and take that time to make sure our players have that choice of either this is just disenchanting is the word I was looking for. Sorry. Disenchanting the items. So for example, with the new LF4 crafts coming in, like I said, the holistic view, this ties into that. You disenchant an item, you get the resources required to craft an LF4. So your old items are not absolutely useless, right? And right now, if we say, hey, you can sell them again with a double confirm, you can do that, and you get credits, which is currently absolutely useless as well. People have trillions of it, literally. If you look at someone who's playing the game for 8 years, he's probably got a shit ton of it piled up and doing nothing about it, right? And you can't do anything. You can't use that currency anywhere.
Yeah, so one interesting question I see there is about are there any plans to link the actual strength of the player to the reward? It's an interesting topic. I mean, it's probably not going to happen in this particular way, but the things that we were discussing with Phil yesterday, I wish he was here, unfortunately he's ill, but you will definitely see him on the next Twitch stream. The things we were discussing is the way to make sure that we properly kind of like divide specific groups of players by strength, like some stronger players on higher levels, they go to higher maps and they fight there, and that makes sense to fight there with the equal players, and the lower level players spend their time on lower maps. So basically, kind of like introducing something like a level reward power connection with regards to where you are and where is your enemy and so on. So this is in general a direction that we are definitely taking. We want to make sure that if not like directly linking the amount of like reward you get from the power of the player, but just making sure that if you are meeting someone on specific map, that player has a specific strength, and you know that, okay, I'm on this map, I'm too strong for this map. If I'm going to fight players on this map, I'm not going to get any rewards, and it doesn't make sense. So I go to higher map. And if I'm a lower player on the lower map, I find the players there to fight, and I see them, okay, they are more or less equal strength, and I will get a decent reward for them, so that like will be compatible with my level. So that's the way we are taking, that's the approach we are taking about this.
Yeah, all right, guys.
There
I got
was
a
one
quick
weird
little
question about Turkish codes. I'm sorry, guys. I'm not sure what the context is there. If you guys can provide me the context, we could possibly answer you. I don't know what codes you guys are talking about.
I guess the giveaways, like I think we mentioned it
We
a
have some
couple of
giveaways,
times, right?
Yeah. I mean, we have some giveaways going on this stream right now.
Not that.
So
No,
we're good with that.
there was a
but
question previously about Turkish players getting more codes. I have no idea what codes they're talking about.
I have. I think I know this. I'm actually looking into this. I'm not 100% sure if this is true. I think this might be just some
rumors spreading
I think this
around.
is somebody spreading a rumor. I can't believe it. It was something about somebody getting permanent discount, 35%, 25%
Yeah,
discount.
those are all rumors, guys.
Yeah.
We do not give anyone such
Nobody's going to get a
benefits.
lifetime 25, 35% discount. That's just not going to happen. So I got a quick question for you guys. This is something that may seem small to some people, but for me, I've seen it all over the forum, seen it all over Discord. The chat system right now is really not optimal in the game. Are we doing anything to combat this?
Yes. So we are working on another solution. Of course, we cannot announce a release date as it is currently being worked on. It is something that will allow us to have specific rooms, specific topic guild chats and general chat and private chats and whatever you want, right? You name it. So that will also let us announce stuff on the chat. So that is also something we're looking at. We have more functionality for our mods as well to block, ban, chat ban people within the game, things like that, right?
Yeah.
But all of this is going to take some time and dev effort. So focusing on bug fixing, focusing on implementing features, new events, chat systems, payment optimizations. We're all human, guys. Come on.
That is a lot of
we work a lot.
That is a lot of stuff to tackle.
So we have a lot of stuff to tackle. So all in due time, we will introduce it. We know of all of these issues. It's not like we're turning a deaf ear. We are aware and we are working on it, but it does take some time. And I'm pretty sure all of you players out there have noticed that we have started to fix bugs. We are paying more attention. We are trying to fix as much as humanly possible while also introducing new things to the game. So it does take time. Give us a bit and you'll see the improvement. I hope I made that very clear.
Just wait and everything will be fixed. That's how it works. But the thing is that the chat is something that we are basically, like, you have to understand, we are replacing the system. That means that it's very hard for us to kind of like to implement a new system with one hand and fix issues with the old system on the other hand. So we are trying to make sure that we are working at full capacity with the introduction of new chat, and it will happen really soon. Just give us some more time and just be patient. That will be like the new system will fix all the issues.
So number one, you have a marriage proposal on a Twitch live stream. Number two, I think he's going to make us a lot of money. I'll see what I can do into selling Barker's merchandise.
Maybe they'll put me in a game or something. I don't know. Who knows? Yeah, I seem to be getting some fans here. That's great. Really flattered.
If he's going to make us money, we'll put him in. Just kidding.
Yeah, but you guys, as you see, with these questions like the chat system and fixing the bugs and everything, it's my job to represent all you players out there. And, you know, I sit right next to these guys, and I will be constantly bugging them about that.
Yeah.
They know, and you got to understand, they have it in their minds. And like Elton said, you saw the amount of fingers he was hitting, the amount of things we have to do in a game this big, and, you know, it's global. It's been around for 10 years. There's a lot of work to do, but, you know, we're looking forward to it. We're doing the work. We ask you to remain patient.
You have to remember he's sitting in a shoe throwing distance from us. So
If he doesn't do it,
Yeah.
my shoe goes on.
Okay.
What else do we got?
Let's see. If do I have anything else from online here?
Cormageddon.
oh, let me take this. Maybe
This
you
is
don't
your
know.
baby.
Yeah, maybe you don't know.
you got it, Sergey.
So yeah, this Cormageddon, like I will wrap it in the combined thing. Like I'm generally not a big fan of removing stuff from the game. However, we have done two major things that we have basically removed from the game. One is JPA, the one that there are some people who are very vocal about this, and I will not stop repeating that JPA in the format that it was working was not really beneficial for any of the sides of our project. It's not about that we don't want to pay out the money or something like that. The problem was that there was a little amount of people who were actually taking part in that game. The winners were more or less always the same. We had a lot of trouble with cheaters. It was not properly done technical wise. We couldn't broadcast the fights on Twitch. We couldn't do anything to promote it. We couldn't do anything to use it as an attention kind of like mechanism, or like as an esport thing. So we want to replace JPA with a proper tournament system, which would work on the basis of UBA and cross-server zone.
Yeah.
So we have already built the technological platform to implement it. It's something that just has to be done like on top of that technological platform. And for Scoremageddon, as with many things like that, the Scoremageddon unfortunately was extremely dangerous as a game that players could use multi-accounts to win that game. They could use all sorts of cheats, and it was extremely hard, as we do not actually we do not support multi-accounting. But when players do that like in one day, we have to follow it and we have to ban the winners, and it takes a lot of time and frustration and so on. So we just removed the Scoremageddon for the time being, and it's not currently like on the top of our priority list, because you have heard, guys, how many different things we have to tackle.
Yeah.
But the idea is that at some point this event will return in a way that would be fair to everybody who decides to take part in it. So
Exactly.
we need to make sure that it's not just an event where somebody creates a ton of accounts, hides somewhere in the corner, gives himself a ton of points and wins the prize. That's not what we want to do. We want to make sure that it's kind of like safe from such issues and such cheats. But that is not
Completely agree,
really easy in the games with such an open free world PvP architecture that DarkOrbit is. That's why we haven't acted upon this, but rest assured, we haven't forgotten, and these guys will definitely not forget it.
Skill tree system. Yes, that is also something that we are planning in, and we will be changing. You guys will be receiving a survey about that shortly. We have a massive survey prepared to get the opinions of every player that is playing DarkOrbit. It'll pop up into the game when you log in for a certain duration that includes all of these questions. So you feel free to answer all of them, and we will get feedback from you guys, poll it, and see what goes best and how best we can fix things.
So, guys, we're running out of time here, but I think we have time for another couple of questions.
So for the event rewards, currently we're not focusing on that, unfortunately, because of a lot of work that we want to get into the game and help you guys with. Once we have all of that in, say for example the crafting mechanics for getting new ships, new weapons and stuff like that, that will also be a reward for Spaceball or something like, on those lines, and that could actually work. And maybe those rewards will be more lucrative for you guys, because currently, let's say I want to put an LF4 into Spaceball, you play a couple of LF4s and you're done and you're like, okay, I'm bored, right?
Yeah.
So we want to keep giving you guys more entertainment and stuff like that, but it will take time, guys, and it'll come in some time.
then real quick, there were a bunch of questions about clans and CBS. So that again, like the topic that probably I know a bit more, and I'll tell you this. So currently, as you have heard, our main focus for the roadmap is to streamline the individual gameplay in a sense, to make sure that you as a player has, okay, you have proper goals, you have progression that is meaningful with proper intermediate goals. We have bridged the gaps from starting to middle to end game. We have made sure that you have a selection of options for which ship to play, which laser to equip, which shield to use, and so on. You have a ton of different abilities. You have interesting enemies to fight, interesting galaxy gates to go through. You have a crafting goals and so on. After that, we want to make sure that we do something for group play. Like we are looking at the stuff that will kind of like promote players to join in the groups and do something together. And the part of that is basically looking at the clans in general. Like we know that there are a ton of issues with like multi-company clans, which are like, so for some people breaking the immersion. We know that there is this clan battle station system, which is a very nice system. I really like it, but unfortunately, it is not like, it doesn't make much sense for small clans to go and build a battle station. It's really hard to protect and doesn't give much. So that's what we are going to be looking next. But you have to understand that this is coming like at a specific time when we are sure that like individual kind of like progression, gameplay, and like core parts of the game like combat and stuff like that are streamlined. That's when we turn to features like CBS and so on. So for that, I guess the guys will be happy to get your ideas, to get your feedback. But you have to understand that's, at this point, is probably not on the top of our list. So that's something that we'll do in the future.
So I will answer one last quick question, then I will let Sergey say his final bye to the players, because we're almost running out of time. So the last question that I will take today is DarkOrbit going to make a client? So, yes, we are eventually, but guys, you need to know that to make a client, we need everything in one place and very well put together. Currently, things are all over the place. You have inventory in one place, you have the game in the other, you have the shop in the third place. We want all of that in one big screen. To make that happen, there are a lot of tweaks that need to be done, right? For example, one of the issues Sergey pointed out when I recently joined was people were pissed off that when I opened if the inventory was in game and I opened the inventory, my boosters are running. So these are the kind of issues we first will tackle. For example, maybe introducing a booster that works on kills instead of time. So instead of 60 seconds a booster running, we will say, hey, make 5 kills and your booster runs out and it's no longer based on time. So after introducing all of those small bits and pieces, we can make the bigger changes that are necessary, and then, yes, eventually probably a client version. So that's the time we had for questions. Sergey, if you want to say your last word to the players before we go offline.
Okay, yeah. Thank you. I see that people will. So guys, again, I would like to thank everyone, every single player that tuned in Twitch, Discord, that played the game, that criticized us, that praised us. I had an awesome, wonderful time with you. I really like DarkOrbit players. I think it's a unique game with a very unique audience. And I want to ask you this one thing, guys. Just please support these guys. Help them as you helped me to get through every single issue and every single problem that this game faces. I am seeing a great future for DarkOrbit. I will be following it with like excitement. Thank you for a moment of fame on Twitch. I really had a blast during this broadcast and these streams. Thank you, everyone. Peace, love, and have a nice DarkOrbit sessions. Yeah.
All right.
And happy hours are on. Go purchase.
Yeah, happy hours are on. You heard Elton. Go purchase. Yeah, so that's all we got for today, folks. Thanks for joining us. Yeah, first of all, I'd like to thank Sergey's last show. I haven't been here very long, but he's been, a great influence on me. This guy has so much knowledge about the game. Don't worry, I'll be picking his brain a bit next week. We have a very long meeting set where he's gonna, school me. I hope I'm ready. I don't know. And we'll see. And then moving forward, I'm very excited to be working with Elton. I think we formed a good partnership so far, as you guys can see. And we're really motivated and we really think that, this game is capable of some very good things in the next year. Yeah, so Elton, thank you for joining. Sergey, thank you for joining. Jorg, thank you for driving. And my mods, thank you. Lyra, thank you. Rabbit, thank you. Firefox. And all you players out there, thank you for watching. So see you next time.
Peace.